Hello and welcome to Moore's Park. Today on Moore's Park, I'd like to show you some of my new acquisitions I've procured in recent times. Some very interesting plants, and I thought I would share them with you and show them off a little bit. So I'm going to show you some of the new stuff I've got, and maybe do a little seedling update too. Anyhow, to start off, this is Euphorbia brevitorta. It's one of the medusoid types. As you see, it grows coming from a central crown and has a caudex down there. See if I can get a little closer. Little caudex down there, kind of like Stellata and some of them other medusoid euphorbias have that grow from a caudex. It's not a real big one yet, but I'm sure it'll grow in time. A very nice plant. I ordered this from Tucson, Arizona, out of Arid Lands greenhouses, and it's a real nice plant. I'm very happy with it. It's already starting to grow a little bit, as you can see right there, and this one has the habit of forming multiple growing points instead of just from one central caudex there. It kind of branches out down there, and as you can see from these little shoots on the side. Anyhow, right next to it is an old favorite. This is Euphorbia stellata. I used to have a very nice plant of one of these, but condensation from the top of the greenhouse kind of dripped into the center of it and pretty well rotted it out. I did have a branch growing of it for a long time, and I never could get it to form a caudex. I even tried the two-step method of cutting on it, and it never really did. It did flower and did seed, however, and that's where I got my Euphorbia enigma. This plant here is a hybrid of a stellata and Euphorbia opuntoides. It's a very interesting plant, and this was actually hybridized by natural pollinators in my greenhouse, and this is what I got from it. But I always wanted another stellata, so I bought this little stellata from, I believe, Paradise Found is what the place is, and they're out of Florida, and so I believe Sarasota, Florida. And so I got this wonderful little plant, and now I have a stellata again, a true stellata. So I can kind of show the difference between the stellata and my little enigma. Next to it here, and some of you may have seen my unboxing video, is a Euphorbia groenwaldii, or groenwaldii. You can see. Very nice plant. A lot of these plants really didn't even miss a beat. When I got them out of the box and planted them up, they just kept growing. Just like it never had been bare-rooted, never sent in the mail. They've all looked real good. You can see all the new growth, nice and green, in all three of these. And all three of these were mail-order plants. This one also came from Arid Lands greenhouses in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks, guys. They're wonderful plants, and I really love them. This little thing down here that you see here is a seed pod that exploded, which means I'm going to have to get the last one before it runs away on me. This is from my Jatropha podagrica. And as you see, there's one left. They exploded and left me. So I'm going to grab this one before I go in tonight, just so it won't explode on its own and I lose the seed, because I'm going to start some of these. These are two new cacti I bought from a roadside stand, believe it or not. They are not labeled. This one I know is a gymnocalacium, and I don't know exact variety, but it looks to be a monstrous form. You can see all the little babies just all over it. Almost every areole has a baby on it. If it doesn't, it probably broke off. As you can see, the one right there, detached one. But from every areole, it seems to grow a branch. So I believe this is a monstrous form. If anybody knows the ID of exactly what species, I've been looking at a bunch and it matches a whole bunch of them, so I'm not quite sure. But this is a monstrous form, and it was a really nice plant, so I went ahead and picked it up. This is another plant I got there. It seems to be a little columnar type, and I don't know if it's going to be a climber or what. I've never seen this before. And it has some like variegation or something at the top. I'm not really sure. Its growth isn't affected by anything. Or maybe it's just a little too much sun, but it doesn't look scorched. Kind of interesting. We'll have to see what happens in the future. But when I bought it, it had this kind of variegated kind of look. I put it in the greenhouse. It's brightened up a little bit, but I'm just not sure. As long as it doesn't look burnt, I'm going to kind of leave it alone to where it's at and let it adjust. But interesting little cactus. I just don't know what it is. I've kind of looked through my books on it, and I don't see anything quite matches, but maybe it's not mature enough for me to notice from pictures what it is. It's a very interesting little plant right there. Anyhow, on to the next one. This one here is an echinopsis, crested echinopsis, and it was labeled caterpillar plant. Now, I've looked this up, and it should flower. We'll see what happens, but it's a very interesting little crest. I got this at one of our home centers when I was buying some materials to fix some things around the park, and they had a few interesting plants, and this was one of them. So I went ahead and got this little guy. Very cool. I really like crested plants. I've always been kind of a sucker for crested plants. Anyway, on to the next. This plant here was given to me as cuttings from a co-worker of mine, Mr. Fred Bedard. He gave me a couple of cuttings off of his large fairy castle cactus because it had actually hit the roof of his sunroom and was bending over. And he kept telling me he should give me some cuttings from his cactus. I said, bring them. So earlier this winter, he actually brought me these cuttings. And you can see right there, and that's where it was hitting the ceiling in his sunroom. All the growth on top is brand new growth. It's doing very well, getting a lot of sunlight. Just fed it yesterday. So this plant is doing really well. Thank you, Fred. I really appreciate this plant. This is a wonderful plant, and this thing will grow fairly tall, and it'll get really clustered up because it's a monstrous form. You see there? All that new growth, little teeny little branches coming out. It's a very nice plant. Again, thank you, Fred. Fred's retiring now after 50 years in the moving business. And, well, I wish I could retire. But we've worked together for about 8 years, and I'm going to really enjoy this cactus. I think I'll name it Fred. This is a grouping of aloes that I got recently, and you can see they're all very interesting. This is Aloe Firecracker, and I bought these all separate. This didn't come in a deal. This is Aloe Purple People Eater. Nice little aloe, a little bit of a purple color to it there. I imagine if you gave it some more sun, it would probably deepen the color. Aloe Christmas Sleigh. These are all neat little hybrid aloes that they've been coming out in recent times and have become real popular for a lot of people. Now this one here, I really don't know the name on this. Show it a little closer. My friend and co-worker, Mr. Matt Talley, gave me a cutting of this little aloe, and it's grown a bit. It's really looking nice, and I'm sure it's one of the newer hybrids. And I thought I had this thing pinned down at one time, but there's so many of these little hybrids that look so similar, I'm not really sure. But all in all, this has made a really neat little arrangement. I clustered them all together because you know, we always have these cactus arrangements and euphorbia arrangements and stuff, but I've never done an aloe arrangement. So I decided to go with all these different aloes in this arrangement, and we'll see how they do. Now this little plant here is Euphorbia lucanura. And this was given to me by somebody I moved recently, a sergeant in the Army, Sergeant Zolman, I believe. Anyhow, when I walked in their house to do their packing and so forth, I noticed this plant sitting there. And it really looked like one of the Madagascan euphorbias. If you look at this, you can even see it starting to bloom now. At first I wasn't quite sure, and I asked Mrs. Zolman, what kind of plant is that? Because I thought maybe she'd know. And confirm what I thought. She said, I have no idea. It was given to us as a gift. All I know is it shoots its seeds across the room. And I went, yeah, Euphorbia. Definitely Euphorbia. So anyhow, she says, we're going to Germany. we're moving to Germany, be stationed in Germany, and we can't take it with us. Would you like it? And of course, I accepted. Very nice plant. The plant down here is actually a seedling that has come up from this. Now this main plant looks a little wilty because it's had a little bit of a difficult time transitioning from the dark living room that it was in. I don't know how long it was there, but it was cool and kind of dark. And coming into my greenhouse, which, you know, can get pretty warm in my greenhouse. Like today it was 83, so it was probably in the 90s or higher in my greenhouse. So it's kind of adjusting to my greenhouse and the conditions, and it should get used to it after a while. And it has got some new growth up top that's really nice. And of course, like I said, it's starting to bloom now. So that means it is adjusting. It's just the bigger leaves here have a little problem adjusting. And it even, you can see here, scorched just a little bit on one or two of these leaves. Because even in this shaded area in my greenhouse, it was too bright a sun for it because it just wasn't used to it because of where it had been. So, nice to have in my collection. I've always wanted one of these Euphorbias. They call this Madagascan Jewel. That's what they call it. You can see the younger ones really have pretty veining in the leaves. Beautiful. Nice plant. Now this is kind of an accident. This little broken pot garden here got created by accident. The little pharaoh cactus that's in there, I'm not exactly sure of this variety since it's just a large seedling basically, and I can't really tell by its form right now. I bought it at a local farm and home store who was picking up some supplies for animals, and they had a little greenhouse there we checked out. And some plants underneath some shade cloth and so forth. Donned our masks, went in and checked it out. But what happened is I bought this pot at another place, had them in my truck. When I opened the door to the truck to unload it, when I got home, this pot rolled out and crashed on the ground. Well, thinking about it, I really didn't want to waste my money. My sister gave me the idea for this because she's been creating some of these little broken pot gardens, and decided to go with it. And it actually turned out very nice. You can see rocks and stuff in there. Turned out real nice. Really like it. Very cool. Now these are some of the seedlings I've had going for actually about a year now. Most of them are golden barrel. These are the ones I thought were pretty much ready to come out to the greenhouse. You can see all these little guys looking pretty good. Now, over here, you got something a little different. I planted these out of a seed packet that said they had golden barrel, Pachycereus pringlei, and Carnegie gigante, which is the saguaros. I think these and these are probably the Pachycereus and Carnegias back in there. That one didn't do too well. You can see I put a few in there. Didn't do too well with that one. But the other two are still alive. These other two are pharaoh cactus, or three rather, are pharaoh cactus. One of them didn't make it either. I'm going to have to clean it out of there, it looks like. Others are doing fine. May have had something to do with the transition coming into the greenhouse. I'm not really sure, but evidently a few of them didn't like it. Now these back here are not actually seedlings. They're just cuttings of a Euphorbia melliformis that I have. It was getting a little old and starting to slow down, so sometimes that means the plant may come to its end. So I took a bunch of little cuttings off the side, and I'm going to start them up again to make sure I keep it. Speaking of which, this is my very large, very old Euphorbia stella-spina. As you see, all these little, it's got dozens of offsets all over it. But the plant, as you see, is looking bad. And over the last few months, and actually last couple of years, I have to say, I've been losing branches on this. I think it's just getting so old, it's just kind of starting to wear out, and I've been trimming stuff off that you can see down here, one that fell off the other day. Actually, not fell off, but I took it off, just pulled it off because it was just like paper. A lot of these you can see they're just getting so old. But the good thing about this is all these cuttings. I got all these cuttings sitting here just kind of drying out, and most of the cuttings that you see, they have roots. like this one. And all these little baby ones have roots. I've already started some in another pot, like these here, and they've been growing for about a month or so and are doing pretty well. They're real easy to start. So I'm going to save my big plant by cuttings. I know I'm probably going to lose it. It's just so old. It's just not good. This is one of the branches I actually took off the other day. See that? But I got lots and lots of these little guys. And so I'm going to restart it, and that ought to keep me in pretty good shape. Okay. Before I go, I thought I'd show you my adenium, which is in full bloom right now. Looks like a little bonsai tree. I've got a couple of adeniums. See in the background here. This one's really blooming it out right now. My big red one, the tall one there, is about to bloom. It's getting buds on it. And also I'll show you my Euphorbia flanaganii, why I've got it here in full bloom. Real cool. Now indoors, I've got some more seedlings here. And these are all the ones that aren't really ready to go out to the greenhouse. These over here, in fact I'll pull these out. These are very special. These are from Lynn Kimberly's 60-year-old plant, or actually 70-year-old plant, I think she said. Schomburgera Christmas cactus. I believe they're Schomburgera truncata. I may be wrong on this. You can correct me, Lynn, if I'm wrong. But anyhow, these have been doing very well. I really love these plants. They've really come along great. And look at the moss. Little bed of moss that grew in with them. I used a peat moss based soil, and I think that's the reason that this nice little bed of moss sprang up. It's actually the sphagnum peat growing in there. And the little cactus just seem happy as ever. Very, very nice plants. Now these right here are also from Lynn and Hans. And Lynn and Hans both have their own channel. Lynn has Desert Plants of Avalon. If you haven't seen this, tune into this. Wonderful information, wonderful plants. You'll really enjoy watching it. Hans also has his channel, which is Family Cactus and Other Beauties. Very knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. Both these guys really know their stuff. And if you want to learn something, tune into these channels. And like I said, they have beautiful plants. Anyhow, this is Rubius senilis, Lilacina rosea. It's the pink flowered form of the Rubius senilis, because normally they're yellow. And you see the plants are almost pink. Look at that. Amazing. You see a little bit of moss growing in there. These here, which are taking a long time, these plants are almost a year old, so these are very slow growing. This is a mellow cactus. I'm not sure which variety. I'm not sure if Lynn and Hans know the variety. If you do, guys, let me know. But they're all doing real well. They're very tiny. See all those little guys down there? Little teeny tiny guys. When they first came up, you almost couldn't see them. They were so little. But they're moving right along, and I don't have any mellow cactus anymore since I lost them in the freeze in my greenhouse. That happened a couple years ago. So these kind of replace everything. And I've never had these. Beautiful little plants. Now the next ones, I'll pull them out of there so you can see them well. These next ones are Echinopsis subdenudata. I always have a problem saying that. Subdenudata from Hans's old plant that he brought from Sweden with him when he moved to Ireland. Look at these little guys. They're just going crazy in there. And that little guy in the corner, he seems like just the fuzziest little guy over there. If I can get this camera to focus in. See if I can go out a little bit. It's not wanting to focus. Anyhow, got a bunch of little guys in there, all growing real well. Here we go. That little guy, he's just fuzzy as ever. Little fuzzy guy. The one next to it, Opuntia ficus indica. These opuntias just grow so strange when they sprout up. See that? When they sprout, they almost look like a normal plant with the big sprout leaves and everything, unlike a lot of cacti. This is doing very well. A lot of new growth, a couple inches long there maybe. Very cool. Now let's see. I'll put these guys back in their little place. The next one here are brand new plants. These have never been seen before. I got this little bag here with all my water in it because I actually still have the little guys there in a bag. I just want to show them to you. But I still have them in a bag. And you can see the rain in there, so to speak. But anyway, yes, these are special euphorbias. These are brand new plants. Never seen by anybody. They're hybrids I made from my greenhouse out there. Now, the four over here are a cross between Euphorbia, horrida, the variety striata, and Euphorbia polygona, the white polygonas. They're growing really well and seem a bit taller than their siblings here. And when I say siblings, it means they have the same father. These are from a Euphorbia seriiformis and a polygona hybrid cross. I'll show you here. There you go. So, we get a Serigana, basically, I guess you could call it. That's what I just got written down here, Serigana, new hybrid. I've tried to look for this on the internet. I have not ever seen one. They don't have anything on there about one. There are various hybrids of horridas and polygonas out there, I think, but everyone's a new one, and they'll be different phenotypes than anything that anybody has out there. So these are kind of exciting for me. Very cool. Love these little guys. I really can't wait to see how they start turning out as they grow. These little guys here, believe it or not, are Ariocarpus fissuratus, and they're about a year old. See, they're very small also. Little tiny guys. But Ariocarpus are just so slow growing. These are from my plants in the greenhouse. My 3 Ariocarpus fissuratus that I have out there. They look kind of brown. You're probably thinking, oh, those things look dead. But no, that's kind of their color as they grow. I don't have them in a bag anymore because I know how sensitive these things are to water. So I just water them as they dry out. They're looking pretty good. If you really got a close look at them, they're actually plump little guys. So they're doing well. I just fed them yesterday. They're moving right along. There's a whole bunch of them in there. I started out, I think, with about 80 seedlings, so I'm not quite sure how many I still have left in there. But there's a bunch of them in there. I got a lot of Ariocarpus. Now this is something I've been waiting for a long time. Sulcorebutia, Rauschii, form Violaciodermis, a purple guy. I've really wanted these a long time. There's a long story to this I won't go into, but I finally got one this year, mail order, and I'm very happy with it. This is another one of my hybrid euphorbias. I made this one about 2 years ago. About 2 years old. I actually lost the seed from it because the mother propelled the seed everywhere and I wasn't able to actually get a hold of it. I did find it sprouting up underneath the mother. Excuse me. It's a very nice little plant. It's grown well here under lights. I've got these all kind of under lights. You see? Very nice little plant. There we go. Good focus. It's hard to get these things to focus sometimes. There you go. And this is a seriiformis horrida hybrid, I believe. Yes. That's why I call it Serrita. Very nice little plant. It's starting to branch now. Very happy with that. It's grown quite well. Must be a couple inches tall now. Very shiny. I'm really anxious to see how it all grows out and clusters up. Unlike the mother, it only has like 5 ribs. See that? Kind of star-shaped. But I don't know if that'll change as it grows. It may change as it grows. A very nice little plant. Very nice. Well, I think that's pretty much all for today. Just wanted to show you some of my new acquisitions, some of my seedlings, what's going on. Thank you to both Lynn and Hans for all the great seeds and great seedlings. I really appreciate it. They're all wonderful. I love them and enjoy them. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. Enjoy your day. Take care.